I came home to a voice message, whereas my wife had picked up a cookie for me from the local bakery and another specific cookie for our young daughter. Overjoyed, partially because I was hungry and partially because my wife and I had been at odds for a bit, and I thought perhaps this was an olive branch of sorts, I looked into the cookie box. One of the two cookies inside was definitely the one for my daughter, due to its description, so I ate the other one. It wasn't quite what she had said it would be, but I didn't want to be picky. She mutters something under her breath, pours her milk back into the jug, and flops down on the couch. I asked what was the matter, and she informs me that I never listen, and I ate her cookie. I told her that I had only eaten the other cookie in the box that wasn't our daughter's, and my wife lets me know that my cookie was separate, in a bag under the cookie box, and that I should have listened better, and that she wasn't surprised. I asked her what kind of cookie I had eaten, and told her I'd go buy her another one. She refused to tell me, and merely repeated that I should have known that wasn't my cookie based on her description. AITA for not paying attention and eating the wrong cookie? Or is she blowing this out of proportion? Edit. No, she didn't mention that my cookie was separate. She told me my cookie was in our bread bag, which is a bag where we keep bread and other things we want to keep bugs and mice out of. She described the cookie as a toffee chocolate chip cookie.
Hey there, it's that mama, and we're ready for my first AITA for not listening to my wife and eating the wrong cookie. It's kept bugging me, where everybody is making a lot of suggestions about what is not in context. We are supposed to make a judgment on this on if a particular person is an a-hole based upon what they give us. Not trying to and a lot of people and maybe it is a problem that this is not a cookie problem. This is beyond cookie problem. This is a problem in the relationship. And he certainly hints towards that when he stated that he thought this was an olive branch of sorts. So then you do see that you from that statement that they have had problems in his description of his story that they have financial problems. So you see these things, and then you see that he screwed up, and he admits that. So I don't think he's lying about the situation or trying to cover it up to make himself look good in his description of the story. So he's giving us a really succinct story here in a few paragraphs, and we have to take that for the facts that they are. So, what that leads to, if you really look at the situation and not get off on a tandem like, there's another guy that just screwed up and he's not listening to his wife, bandwagon. And yes, it is a bandwagon now because he got labeled the a hole in this. And I think it's wrong. I think it's entirely wrong. And he's been wronged. And the real true a hole is his wife for various reasons, and it's right here in the story. First, the first story that he had, the unedited version that a lot of people hooked up on first, has a sentence in it that clarifies this. And then he edited it as well, and it shows where he edited it, and he provided some more information that clarifies it even more. So the first statement, and I'm going to read it again. I came home to a voice message, whereas my wife had picked up a cookie for me from the local bakery and another specific cookie for our young daughter, which she could have when she came home from school. Statement one. The edited clarification statement, no, she didn't mention that my cookie was separate. So therefore, this man had no knowledge of three cookies. He had knowledge of two cookies. He went to the bread box where they keep things so that they won't get stale and things like that, and they won't have bugs around them and stuff and whatever, gnats, of course. You keep it in a bread box. That's where you keep your bread and your pastry and cookies. He went and got and saw a cookie box. And there inside the cookie box is 2 cookies. One he explicitly remembered, so he's not a man that doesn't remember details and doesn't listen because he remembered, "Oh, that's his daughter's cookie." So therefore, logical conclusion, daughter cookie, his cookie. So he eats it. She comes home, and then he finds out that she's completely upset and she is blaming him for eating her cookie. And he is completely just taken aback by this. And then she is showing him, no, you had a third cookie separately in this little baggie, in this little paper bag. Okay, like I said, let's go back to what we know in this story and the truth of the story. There were 2 cookies, not 3. And if she had wanted him to know that his cookie was separately placed, then she should have left that message. She can't blame him without blaming herself. Also, she didn't handle the situation with a lot of grace, I don't think. She just went off on a hinge, and of course, maybe she's tired, yeah, she's looking forward to this cookie, and she gets home, and she's ready for this cookie, and she's had a hard day, and she picked it out and everything else, and she's ready to eat this cookie. I can get all that, but she still has a cookie to eat. It's the one that she picked out for her husband. It wasn't the one, Albert. It wasn't the one that she picked out for herself, but she's not showing a lot of grace within her family unit that, hey, she still has a cookie to eat. Her daughter still has her cookie that she picked out for her daughter. Everything is still okay. No, she makes a big deal out of it and gets frustrated and just blames him that he doesn't pay attention to her and he never listens, which is entirely not true, as pointed out in the circumstances in the story, because he did listen to what she said. There were 2 cookies, and he recognized his daughter's cookie from her description. So, that leads me to believe that it's what is she passing on to her family? How is she expressing herself within her family? She's not really expressing herself in a good light. She's actually teaching her daughter that it's okay to blame others because of your own expectations and your own level of how you perceive it happened, and you present your definition of attention to detail. And then a third thing to just nitpick about was she had all 3 cookies. Why didn't she put them in the same box? All in the box. Why did she, and maybe it was a conscious decision, or maybe it was a subconscious decision. If it was a conscious decision, that makes her even more, the wife, even more of an a-hole, just putting her cookies together, her and her daughter's, and not his. If it was a subconscious decision, we don't know. We don't know about that in the story, but we do know that she put 2 cookies in a nice cookie box, and third cookie she put in a separate paper bag for her husband. And the 2 cookies that were in the box, one was her daughter's and one was hers. Not the separate cookie in the sack, but the 2 cookies that she mentioned in the voicemail in the box. Maybe, dear wifey Pooh, you are not paying enough attention to your man and your own environment to make him sound like he's the a-hole, and he's actually not. You are, because in my 4th point, why are you buying 3 premium cookies when financially he doesn't even have enough money to have a sufficient lunch for the workday? He had a piece of bubble gum and some cheap hot chocolate. And I, again, have seen a lot of people speculate that maybe they don't share finances. And if that's the reasoning, then that makes it even worse. It's even more intolerable to hear this situation and hear everyone blaming him and not her. Because if they don't share finances and she actually had the money to buy herself and her daughter and him 3 premium cookies from a little cookie shop and didn't take it upon herself to pay attention to the details of her family and not take care of her husband, she should have actually used that money to make sure that she was buying him a lunch and perhaps taking that lunch to him, or making sure that he just had enough money to buy his own lunch instead of spending it on 3 premium cookies and then blowing up about it when her cookie that she picked out for herself was 8, but she still had a cookie to eat. Yeah. So her defense and her argument is totally just makes her keep looking worse and worse like an a-hole, not the husband, not the guy, not what is it, Shadu 2379 is not the a-hole.